your modern day life is a blues of sorts. Put your head in the sand.
Hey, this is Jane from The Herb. Please support community radio and your local music scene.
La 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 la. We can't hear you. La 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 la. We can't hear you.
Slavery is back.
Welcome to a place where private business profit from a captive labour force, yet pennies are spent on medical services to a population in which the Indigenous, the poor and the mentally ill are overrepresented. Where isolation, humiliation and degradation are facts of life. Welcome to prison.
It depends who's telling the story, I suppose. The prisoners would have one view, the people who work in the prison system would have another, and I think it's up to people to decide where the truth is.
Give government propaganda and the media spin doctors the flick. And check out Doin' Time for news, views and tunes on prison issues from Guantanamo Bay to Christmas Island to prisons and detention centres everywhere. Every Monday at 4 p.m. on your community radio 3CR.
We are still fired up and we're still talking about revolution.
Hello and welcome to the Doin' Time show. This is 3CR Community Radio, 855 AM on the dial, streaming live on www.3cr.org.au. This is Marissa and I'll be taking you through until 5 o'clock this evening. And a warning that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander listeners are warned that the following radio broadcast contains the name of a deceased person. Today we will pay tribute to Uncle Sam Watson, Brisbane Indigenous leader, writer and activist who passed away on the 27th of November 2019. We honour Sam, a proud Wangara Buddha and Bidi Gubberman who had blood ties to the Jagera, Kaladun and Nunukul peoples, 1952 to 2019. And any mispronunciation of land ties are mine. Our condolences go out to Sam's family, to Nicole, his daughter, and Sam's wife, Auntie Catherine, and all the family, and also to Lara Watson, who I had the pleasure of speaking with on the telephone last week. Sam died at 67 years old, a fortnight after his birthday, and has led the Aboriginal struggle as a great advocate. Sam became a founding member of the Brisbane chapter of the Australian Black Panthers, and he proudly belonged to the original Aboriginal Tent Embassy. Together with Aboriginal people throughout Queensland, Sam fought against the policies of the Joe Peterson government that saw our communities subject to the oppressive controls of the former Department of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Advancement. Sam also helped with Aboriginal legal services in Queensland, and he marched against Australia's involvement in the Vietnam War. He campaigned against the former apartheid regime in South Africa. And some of this information he did with us on interviews on the Doin' Time show and some direct quotes from NITV and Brisbane Times. There really wasn't very much media about Sam, which is a disappointment. Sam is a very important part of the Doin' Time show. Essentially, he offered his love and support to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples by giving his time and energy to many, many interviews for the show. Today, we will showcase Sam's work by providing listeners with 3CR Doin' Time interviews that we have compiled, and they are interviews that have been lovingly compiled by Peter and myself and Rob, who also does some work with the Doin' Time show when he can. And also thanks to Andy, who helped with some of the editing. Sam's voice will be heard today and hereafter by special permission from the family. Sam's work will be showcased from Invasion Day rallies to deaths in custody to stolen generation. In particular, Sam in our interviews together focused on topics that needed attention, such as the massacres and the frontier wars. Sam was inclusive of refugees, and towards the end of his life, he had a discussion about refugees on air and said that they are welcome here to Australia. These interviews are but a small selection, and we bring you more in 2020. So you'll be hearing throughout the show different interviews from Uncle Sam Watson, and he'll be, and it's pretty self-explanatory. You'll hear his voice throughout. But first, and this may not happen given that the funeral happened on Friday, but first we will hopefully hear from Nicole, Sam's daughter, who expressed interest in coming onto the show to speak about her father. I'll now go into an announcement, and we will see if we can get Nicole on the line.
3CR's having a festive season craft auction fundraiser. Join us on Thursday, the 12th of December, for Radio Craft at 15 Smith Street, Fitzroy, right next door to the station. Doors open at 5:30pm. To have a look at the works, enjoy a drink at our donation bar, music and snacks. Live auction starts at 7pm. We're still seeking donations of craft in any of its wonderful forms, so if you'd like to make a donation, you can drop it off at 3CR any weekday between 9am and 5pm, or email radiocraft3cr@gmail.com for more information.
And you're back with the Doing Time show. So I'm just going to play that announcement again while we line up Nicole.
3CR's having a festive season craft auction fundraiser. Join us on Thursday, the 12th of December, for Radio Craft at 15 Smith Street, Fitzroy, right next door to the station. Doors open at 5:30pm. To have a look at the works, enjoy a drink at our donation bar, music and snacks. Live auction starts at 7pm. We're still seeking donations of craft in any of its wonderful forms, so if you'd like to make a donation, you can drop it off at 3CR any weekday between 9am and 5pm, or email radiocraft3cr@gmail.com for more information.
Thoughts within, visions I see, daring to dream my destiny. So much sorrow, heartache we have, as we comfort our children when they shed a tear. We must stand strong, stand tall when your back's against the wall. Gotta look deep within yourself, gotta rise above it all. When no one's there to comfort you, gotta push your fears aside. Rely on your inner strength, find a sense of pride.
And you're back with the Doing Time show. And we're going to be now speaking with Nicole Watson, who is daughter of Sam Watson. Hello, Nicole. It's Marissa. Welcome to the program.
Hi, Marissa. Thank you.
It's lovely to have you. And I certainly won't keep you very long. You're on air. It's lovely to have you, and I'll be guided by you as to what you wish to say about your dad. What would you like to say?
Well, it's been a lot to process these past few days, but I just cling to the really wonderful memories of Dad. I was incredibly lucky to have such a wonderful dad and to spend so much time with him.
Yes.
He was a genuinely good person who was compassionate. He had faith in people. He was able to build bridges with people from all different walks of life.
Yes.
Even people who had very different political beliefs to his own. And I'm inspired by the great work that he did for our community.
Indeed, and I believe it was you on NITV, Nicole, before the interview, before today, before the funeral actually, and you did a lovely statement on behalf of the family.
Yeah, I know. We knew that a lot of his friends in the community had heard that he was gravely ill, and they were very worried about him. So we wanted Dad's many friends to find out in a nice way, which is why the family decided to issue a statement.
Absolutely. Yeah, and Nicole, I made sure actually not to put his voice on while you're on hold out of respect for you.
Thank you.
And I wanted to thank you, and please thank the family as well for giving their permission to air his interview. But if you have changed your mind, let me know now and I won't play it.
Sure, no, it's fine.
It's fine. He really did do some wonderful work with us, Nicole.
Yeah, and I do remember our Dad mentioning your show. Dad never said no to an interview.
No.
So as his daughter, I'm really doing this for Dad. He was, I just don't ever remember him saying no to a journalist before.
Oh yeah, it wasn't just us. He did a lot of media. We have to laugh, don't we? Really, he'd want us to laugh, wouldn't he, and celebrate his life?
Yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah.
And in fact, sure. you know, the thing that really touched me was I read a report about the funeral and how it was at Musgrave Park. Is that right? That would have been a beautiful send off.
It was. It's obviously been a very difficult time for us, but we have been buoyed by the love and kindness that we received from so many people. And we also received a great deal of support in preparing for the funeral. The Brisbane City Council allowed us to send Dad off from Musgrave Park, which was always a very important place to him, and they provided marquees. Yeah. So that I think it was over 1,000 people came to say goodbye, and they didn't have to do so in the hot sun. Yeah, and even the Queensland Police Service were actually very supportive of the funeral.
Oh.
People from all walks of life, as I said, came to pay their respect to Dad. So we're very grateful for that. It's given us a great deal of comfort during probably what has been the most difficult time of our lives.
Absolutely, and please pass on our condolences, won't you, to the rest of the family and to Auntie Catherine.
Thank you. I will.
Nicole, I'll leave it with you. This would be a most difficult time for you, and thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. I think Dad wouldn't have it any other way.
He wouldn't, in fact, and pretty soon, the radio airwaves are going to be blasted with his work.
That sounds highly appropriate.
Thank you so much, Nicole. Any final comments?
I feel incredibly lucky to have the wonderful Dad that I did, and I'm so grateful for the support that my family has received this week.
Absolutely. And how would you sum up his work?
He was a trailblazer. He was a paradox. He could be staunch and angry, but he was also incredibly sensitive, and he had great empathy. And he was my best friend, and I'm going to miss him a great deal.
Me too. Yeah. And he did didn't he hand out cards for the referendum, Nicole? Yeah,
he was a teenager.
What
when he did that. And then he belonged to a generation who thought that so much change would come out of the referendum, and when the Commonwealth didn't really use its new power to make laws in relation to our people, Dad got swept up in the Black Power movement, and that was when he met brilliant people like Uncle Gary Foley, and marched and organised for many years and helped to build the foundations for many of our community survival programs.
Absolutely. The 1967 referendum, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, so that was a very important landmark wasn't it, in terms of the how to vote? He was handing out how to vote cards for the Yes campaign, wasn't it, for the 1976 referendum?
Yes.
And it was successful.
1967. Yes, it was successful. But unfortunately, the Commonwealth government didn't really come up with a bold program for our people until the election of the Whitlam government in 72. And Dad was then at the Aboriginal Tent Embassy in Canberra. And yeah, I understand that they met with members of the Whitlam government, and that was a very exciting time.
Absolutely. Nicole, thank you so much once again.
Thank you. As I said, Dad would not have it any other way. And can I just send much
Absolutely.
love to our friends out in the broader community who are also grieving. I just want to send them my love.
Any individual Cheerios you want to send out?
No, Dad had so many friends.
He did.
It would be difficult to name all of them.
I wanted to send out a Cheerio to Lara Watson. Actually,
Lyle.
Lara.
Oh yeah, Auntie Lila, yeah.
Auntie Lara. Yeah, she.
Lara, yep.
She did a lot of work with the unions, and she is grieving also, I believe.
Yeah. It's been a tough time for our family, but we've really come together, and we've just drawn so much comfort from all the support that we have received. Beautiful.
All right, Nicole. Well, you take care, and we're going to remember him.
We will. And I really hope that the Invasion Day rallies next year are just huge, because I know that Dad will still be there in spirit. He wouldn't miss it.
Indeed he will, and his legacy will continue, as you've said.
Yes.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Take care,
All right,
Nicole.
goodbye.
Thank
you.
you.
Take care. Goodbye.
Bye. And that was Nicole Watson, daughter of Uncle Sam Watson, who has just given a very beautiful tribute for her dad. So without any further ado, we're now going to go into the audio of the interviews, and I'll just play them as they're meant to be played. Here we go. Oh, my goodness, something's happened here. First up, we're going to be speaking with Sam Watson, Aboriginal elder and activist from Queensland, and specifically Brisbane, and he'll tell you what land he's on when he introduces himself. We'll be speaking with Sam Watson about a number of issues, basically about heart disease rates going up in Aboriginal children. We'll also speak with him about the recent role that Tony Abbott has been allocated in the federal government, specifically being the Indigenous convoy. Hello, Sam. Welcome to the program.
Yep, and thanks for inviting us on, and g'day to all you mob across the radio land, as it were. And I hope everyone is well, and that we are surviving under this appalling political system that we've been thrust into. And really, you look at the federal government, you think, oh my God, they're a great recipe for disaster, and they really are an outstanding advertisement for armed revolution and uprising.
Absolutely. Sam, I'm wondering, could you tell us what land you're from, first of all? Because it's really important for listeners to know that.
Okay. I was born and raised here in a place now called Brisbane, but my grandmother's country is a little bit further southeast of here, and we're Wanjabara people. Our country extends from place called Beenleigh across to Mount Jamboree and down to the Border Ranges, and that's country of the pretty face wallaby. And the senior women in our family have always been keepers of a particular group of songlines that journey from the Border Ranges up through the southeast Queensland area and into the Sunshine Coast. So that's our country, and on grandfather's side, of course, we're Bowen Basin mob. We belong to Mount Nebo, and around that place where that Adani mob want to put their big new coal mine. But, our mob are going to stop them, of course, one time.
Absolutely. It is important for your mob to stop that, isn't it?
Absolutely. We've had enormous support across the broader community, and that, again, just exemplifies and solidifies the importance of the working partnership that's now developed between the black political movement and the broader mainstream political struggle, because, as they say, united we stand, but divided we fall. So we do need to come together and stand together one time.
Absolutely. It's pretty important. So I think what we need to concentrate on now, Sam, is I'm wondering if you could just talk a little bit about the heart disease in Aboriginal children, and you were mentioning off air that rates were going up.
That's right, and in recent weeks or recent months, senior medical people have raised the alarm bells, because Aboriginal children in those so-called remote communities are suffering from diseases and conditions that disappeared from the mainstream urban communities years ago, decades ago. And when you see these small children with very tiny, thin bodies, because they're quite malnourished as well, and they have the age-old diseases and symptoms, and you see these little ones having to undertake open heart surgeries at their age before their 10th, 12th birthdays. It's absolutely appalling. And then our mob, who are journalists and camera people as well, go behind the scenes and have a look at the appalling conditions that our people have to live in those remote communities. And it's just it's mind-numbing that these children have to live in places like that. And it goes back to, this right across that broad gamut of from day one of the European invasion of our country, right the way through the 1800s, the 1900s. And even though historians and politicians will come forward and say there have been great improvements, that Aboriginal and Torres Islander people were able to take actions before the Industrial Relations Court and win the right to be paid equal wages. But what happened during the 50s, 60s, 70s is that when our people did take actions through the upper courts and win the right to be paid equal wages, instead of being paid bags of rations, the white fellas who owned the cattle runs and ran the big properties and sold the beef, white fellas didn't pay the equal wages that they were ordered to by the court. White fellas simply sacked Aboriginal workers and just removed them from those places which were their traditional homeland. So when you win on one hand, when you win the right to demand equal wages, the ruling class will respond by simply stripping away further rights. So it's an ongoing class warfare. Yep.
Definitely a class war, and in fact that really adds up historically, doesn't it, to the fact what you're saying then, Sam, is that there's been a lot of atrocities that have happened during colonisation and during the frontier wars, which isn't acknowledged at all.
That's right. I mean, picked up the weekend papers, as we always do, me and Catherine, and we saw one of Australia's best known, live music performers, Troy Casadali, is a wonderful, wonderful performer, great voice and strong, Aboriginal man, and he tells this incredible story about growing up in his country and the way in which his grandmother forbade him and his mob, his brothers and sisters, to not go to a certain place in their neighbourhood, not to go to a certain place, and it wasn't until years later that he was finally told, when he got a bit older, that the reason why the children were barred from going into this place was because that was a massacre site. And, there wouldn't be... Every Aboriginal community across Australia, every Aboriginal family would have a truth like that back there in the shadows, and they're not told these things until they're old enough to be able to process, just what happened. So
that's right.
And you know that you know that hundreds, thousands of our people were slaughtered, massacred, hunted down like animals, like feral pests, and yet very rarely were any of these murderers, any of these butchers ever brought to account. I mean, after the atrocities of the Second World War, the global authorities spent decades tracking down the perpetrators of the Nazi Holocaust, and large numbers of those criminals and butchers were actually arrested, charged, taken before the courts and dealt with. But here in Australia, very few of those people have committed those terrible.
Absolutely. No, it's there's a lot of stuff about massacres, and I'd like to talk to you about that another show, because that'll just take up a whole show, really. But we've only got a couple of minutes left. But so with the heart rates of children, what are some solutions that we can have put in place to try and improve that medical care?
Every Australian child should have access to decent potable drinking water. That's a big start. So all our children, regardless of where they're growing up in the back of the APY lands or the middle of Brisbane City or Melbourne, they all need to have access to decent drinking water. All our children need access to a decent bedroom, a decent bed.
Oh, I see. Absolutely.
Decent, and then the kitchen has got to be a fridge full of food, decent food, fruit, veggies, whole grain breads, these sort of things. Kiddies need to have access to the proper things so they can conduct their schoolwork. So they come home, they have a teaching space, a learning space where they can do their homework, because education is so critical. It's such an important part of the growing up process. So that's a big step. So you need to have the children. I mean, that's that old saying that's been around for a long, long time, that it takes a village to raise a child. Well, in our community, in our culture, again, you need to involve the elders. I mean, I've been to universities, I've been to colleges and all this sort of gear. Never got my degree, but no drama. I'm not going to lose any sleep over that. But 99% of what I know, I learned from my elders sitting in places like Musgrave Park. Didn't learn in white-collar classrooms. I learned it there, sitting down there with uncles and aunties who'd travel the world and taught me those things I need to know as an Aboriginal man. So these children, unfortunately, because they have no future in front of them, because they can't see any success stories in their own families, in their own communities, they think they've just given up so early. They just don't think they have any hope in life. And,
absolutely.
And we need to turn that around. We need to engage with them. We need to engage with their parents, their communities. We need to say, no, there is a life beyond this, that you will succeed.
And we need to actually, as I said, you've talked about it in the context of history as well, which is important. Now, just very quickly, are you able to just quickly comment, because I know this is something you wanted to talk about what you think as an Indigenous person in regards to Abbott, Tony Abbott having that role liaising with Indigenous people?
Well, Tony Abbott can take his bike and he can take his red Speedos and he can stick them where the sun don't shine, because he was a waste of time as a Prime Minister, a waste of time as a politician. I mean, these mob down in Canberra, we don't see them up here in places like Brisbane. You don't see them in places like Palm Island or Doomadgee or out on the APY lands or in those 73 designated communities in the Territory. You don't see them, in the real places where Aboriginal people live and work and battle day to day. So Tony Abbott needs to get out there. If he's going to be the minister's envoy for Aboriginal affairs, needs to get down to a place like Musgrave Park. There's over 50,000 Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people living and working in Brisbane, yet we have never had a federal minister for Aboriginal affairs visit us here in Brisbane since I can't even recall the last time we had a federal politician visit here and find out exactly what the challenges are, because, we had a meeting at Musgrave Park this morning simply because at Musgrave Park we're getting large numbers of young kiddies dropping out of school very early coming into a place like Musgrave Park and unfortunately picking up really bad habits and messing around with paint cans and petrol and those sorts of things. So we need to have the funds and the resources so that we can stop this now, so that we can save these children from going on that downward spiral into further and more desperate addictions.
Well, I'm hoping that we can actually take listeners back to when Tony Abbott said that before white people came, that it was just bush, that it was terra nullius.
This day, called Australia Day, to the time to celebrate. Why is that?
Well, I mean, we look back at January 26, 1788, and we look at the first National Day of Protest that was January 26, 1938. So in 1938, white Australia celebrated the 150th anniversary of the arrival of the First Fleet. Yeah. But on that day in Sydney, at the Australia Hall in Elizabeth Street, Sydney, and that building is still there and is heritage listed, there was a very large gathering of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, and there were a number of people who went down from Brisbane for this meeting. And on that day, the leaders, men and women, released a pamphlet that really did challenge white Australia to acknowledge the enormous damage they had caused to Aboriginal populations, to our country, our sacred lands, to our sacred places, and pose that question, just what has Aboriginal Australia really have to celebrate on January 26th? Now, many of the questions and many of the positions put forward by those leaders in 1938 are still very, very relevant to us here today, because the leaders of that day, people like the Pattons, Ferguson, Auntie Pearl Gibbs and many others, were concerned about the authorities coming into our communities and removing our children. They were concerned about citizenship rights, the right to vote, the right to a basic standard of living, with housing, health, education, employment. Those bread and butter issues that impact on Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Yeah. Big impacts back there in 1938 and still big impacts today.
And you just heard two very important interviews with Sam Watson, who died on November 27th, 2019. And that last interview was a segment from Peter, also from the Doing Time show. And Peter is also very grieved about Sam and Rob too. It's approximately 4:33. I'll be playing you some more audio shortly. But, yeah, just wanted to also talk about some media sources that has talked about Sam Watson. The Green Left Weekly had an excellent article documenting some of his work, and also Brisbane Times, as I said early on in the show, and NITV, who had spoke about, had a statement by the family. And I'll just quote you a little bit about the funeral. Brisbane Times actually called Sam a leader, and he's been remembered as a caring and compassionate advocate for the rights of Indigenous people and others at a public funeral service last Friday. And they talk a lot about the fact that mourners with fists upraised paid tribute to a giant of the Brisbane community, and just talked about how Dr. Gary Foley also spoke, and a lot of thousands of people farewelled the proud Indigenous leader who had ties to the Jagera community, and I've already spoken about the lands that he's from earlier on in the show. And this is a quote: "We'd get no better place for Aboriginal people, I suppose, in the whole of Queensland than right here," said Uncle Des Sandy during a welcome to country, the home for us in Musgrave Park. And I happen to know that Sam really loved Musgrave Park, and it was a centre for a lot of activism there. And the Green Left Weekly really paid tribute as well, and they called him also a giant of the Aboriginal rights struggle. They talked also how he was a filmmaker, He was the Socialist Alliance's South Australian Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders Affairs spokesperson for many years, and he's a lifelong fighter against racism. And a quote from Sam directly, "Our mob are ready to struggle." And he was a leading Māori activist based in Brisbane. And a quote from the Green Left Weekly, Watson was a veteran of Indigenous rights struggles going back to the 1960s. And he was a former academic at the University of Queensland and received honours for his 1990 novel, The Adajaka, sung and acclaimed for his 1995 film also, Black Man Down. It's approximately 4:35 and I'll be bringing you now more audio from Sam Watson. And here's another one without any further ado. But we now have Sam Watson on the line, who's an Indigenous activist from Queensland, has been with us many, many times on the show. Mr Walker's issues, death in custody, is a national issue, and he's very happy to talk about it. Hello, Sam. Welcome to the program.
Hello, how are you?
Not bad, Sam. Not bad. Considering all the deaths in custody that have happened. Can you tell us, what happened with Mr Walker?
We can't go into
No, we can't do in too much detail.
Those matters now have to be canvassed by legal representatives acting for the family.
Yes.
And there is a team of lawyers up there consulting with the family, loved ones and community leaders. So that's in process. It's unusual that the Northern Territory Police have come forward and charged a police officer with murder, the top grade charge. So as I said, that's an unusual step, certainly warranted given the circumstances that we're aware of. But I think generally people across Australia, particularly Indigenous people, are saying that this has got to stop. That since the recommendations of the Royal Commission were handed down in 1991, there have been a further 442 Aboriginal deaths in custody. So, and every time we confront a death in custody situation, we're dealing with the same set of circumstances, the same patterns of response by armed police, and the inevitable death to a prisoner. So, we really do need to pressure the federal government to take direct responsibility for Aboriginal deaths in custody cases. There needs to be a national office set up, and that national office must be based in Sydney or Melbourne. And as soon as a death in custody happens anywhere in the 6 states or the Northern Territory, there must be a specialist team sent to that place within the first 2 hours. That specialist team must take full control of the situation. They must take full control of all the forensic evidence and material, and they must be the principal investigators, and that team must be in absolute control of the movements of police or prison officers, whichever the case may be. So we have to elevate these death and custody situations to a special level, and we must have that independent agency that has the authority, the legislative authority and power to be able to take full control of the situation, to isolate the police involved, so that the police don't have every opportunity to do what they've done in the past, which is to sit with each other for hours upon hours, and the lawyers, and cook up a convenient version of events that will ensure that no one's going to be charged. So,
and you're back with the Doing Time show, and we're speaking now with Sam Watson. We just spoke to Vicky Roach before about Invasion Day, and she was saying that it was a day of mourning, and we talked quite a lot about a range of different issues, including changing the date. And I'm just talking about this just so we can get Sam Watson psyched up there. Hi, Sam. How's it going?
Good, mate. How you doing?
Lovely to have you. Now, let's start off then talking about Invasion Day. This is not a debate as to whether or not it is Invasion Day. I'm not interested in doing that. But could you just start off by talking about that and what it means to you and what are the issues for you? And talk about what land you're from as well.
Yeah, I mean, the modern day black political struggle was launched back in January 26, 1938. I mean, on the day when white Australia was celebrating the 150th anniversary of the arrival of the First Fleet, Aboriginal political leaders from right across the country gathered in this hall in middle of Sydney, and they had their first National Day of Protest. And the leaders issued this incredible statement where they really challenged white Australia and laid the truth out, used incredibly visionary language, and laid the facts down. And ever since then, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people have been observing the 26th of January as being the day of the genocide wars, the day when the British launched an illegal armed invasion of sovereign lands, where they usurped and dispossessed Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander nations of our traditional homelands, and launched this bloody, horrific, violent campaign against Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people right across the country. So, as the leaders of 1938 stated back then, that we do not have anything to celebrate as the people, that we stand before the world and we say, look what has happened since 1938. Look at the crimes that have been perpetrated against our people, against our culture, against our country. So 1938 and 2018, it's same. So nothing has changed. I think if more so, white Australia has become more deeply entrenched into this culture of absolute denial.
And you're back with the Doing Time show, and those last two interviews were particularly significant in that the second last interview was the final interview before Sam passed away. And indeed, I think he really did sound a little bit ill, actually, on that interview, but he proudly soldiered on. And the last interview, and I think Peter and I were both present at that show, and that I believe that was actually a week before he went to hospital. And the final last interview was a week before he went to hospital in November. But the Invasion Day one, the last one, that was last year, I believe. And you heard Nicole, his daughter, talking about that Sam would want the rallies to get bigger and bigger. And I do urge listeners all over the country to please try to rock up to the rally on Australia Day. It's almost the end of programming until summer comes. Technically, summer has come, but summer programming itself I believe, is starting after the 16th of December. And we will be back on Survival Day for our show, which I believe is about on the 26th of January, on the Monday. It's approximately 4:44, and you're listening to a tribute of Uncle Sam Watson, Aboriginal leader of the Aboriginal rights struggle. And we've just compiled some audio. Those are the interviews that we have actually done so far, but we will be bringing you other interviews in 2020. And I think now we will have a song break, and I'm going to be playing you now a song called Summer Rain by Coloured Stone. Stay tuned.
I can see the fading misty haze
You can feel the crystal drops of rain. You can call it mist or just some steam, falling right down into the sea. But the ocean rises everywhere. Now it's raining on the sea and land. Summer rain, summer rain, we need pure water, come again. Summer rain, summer rain, we need pure water, come again. What a feeling, raindrops in your eye, coming from the clouds in the sky. Do you think it's pure and seems as clear? But one thing that's for sure, that it's real. Summer rain, summer rain, we need pure water, come again. Summer rain, summer rain, we need pure water, come again. I can see the rising misty haze, rising everywhere, every day. You can see it rising to the air. Something's gone all wrong, it's a shame. Summer rain, summer rain, we need pure water, come again. Summer rain, summer rain, we need pure water, come again. Summer rain, summer rain, we need pure water, come again. Summer rain, summer rain, we need pure water, come again.
And you're back with the Doing Time show. It's approximately 4:49, and I just want to spend the next couple of minutes drawing, if you like, conclusions about the tribute to Uncle Sam Watson. And I felt that while that song was playing, I was just having a look at the article by Green Left Weekly, and I know I've summarised most of it, but I wanted to actually point out a paragraph that I felt was pretty pertinent to Sam's work. And indeed, we are actually showcasing Sam's work today and celebrating his work. So I'll just read out this paragraph from Green Left Weekly, which I thought was very thoughtful. And they say, and it was a recent article, throughout the 1970s, Sam worked with elders to establish Aboriginal community organisations and peak bodies in health, housing, education, employment and legal aid. He was an important figure in the Brisbane Aboriginal Legal Service in the 1990s. Sam was also a long-time socialist. He always saw the necessity to unite the struggles of Indigenous people with the movements of working people and the oppressed. Watson contested a number of elections at state and federal levels for SA, South Australia. Running in the March 2009 Queensland state election, Watson told Green Left Weekly, and this is a direct quote, "Socialist Alliance won't tolerate pressure on the most vulnerable in our community. We stand for supporting people instead. We won't support big businesses' rush to profit at our expense. We stand up for the rights of working people, the unemployed, students. They are the backbone of our community, yet their rights are being compromised. And we will be encouraging people not to feel like victims, but to consider themselves strong, powerful people. And on election day, they will be powerful." Watson stressed that SA was not just after votes, but is an activist, campaigning party. Even after election day, we are a people-based party, and we will continue to connect with people, unlike the corporate parties. Regarding the current status of the Aboriginal land rights struggle, Sam told Green Left Weekly in January last year, "Aboriginal people are deeply concerned about the role of multinational corporations which are seizing our land and water and destroying it. In Western Australia, we face uranium mining. In the Northern Territory, a nuclear waste dump. And in Queensland, they want to turn our state into one big coal mine. The fight for Aboriginal land rights is still critical for us. Our people will fight to defend our homelands from mining and other threats." On the current challenges facing the Aboriginal movement, Sam said, "The Aboriginal rights movement is at a crossroads right now. From the 1990s to the present, we experienced a process of transition from the streets to the boardrooms. But the young people are becoming impatient again. Devolution of the black political movement is going on. Aboriginal people are moving back into the streets to confront white power once more. Aboriginal people face major problems right now, and we are demanding strong action immediately." I believe that was a typo. I think it was revolution. And then the author of Green Left Weekly also mentions, as I said earlier, that he was a playwright and writer, Sam Watson. And he says, the author, "I was a friend of Sam and worked closely with him over many years in Brisbane. I always admired and loved him for his tireless work for the Aboriginal community, working people and the poor. He had a vision of a future socialist society in which black and white communities would live together in harmony and cooperation, and where full sovereignty of Indigenous people would be recognised." Socialist or not, Sam, regardless of political parties, spoke a lot about this. And in fact, I do remember a particular interview where I invited quite a number of refugees. The studio was full, and this would have been about a couple of months ago. And he spoke to those refugees and sent a message through to an Iraqi guy called Ali, who's imprisoned in detention, that all refugees are welcome to the land. All refugees are welcome in Australia. It's approximately 4:53. Also, please note that, and I wanted to remind listeners about what Nicole said about her dad, that he welcomed and accepted people from all political persuasions, that it wasn't just about one political party, it wasn't just about politics. He embraced human rights and he welcomed everybody. And it didn't matter whether they were socialist, Christian, Muslim or whatever. It's approximately 4:54 and we've got about 3 minutes left of our show. I just wanted to end by saying that this has been a very difficult show for the members of the Doing Time Collective, and we have worked hard to pay tribute to Sam Watson, and he will be greatly missed. And indeed, we need to also keep fighting, not just for Sam, but for all Aboriginal people. It has been a really tough year for the Doing Time show because we actually embrace grassroots activism. It's not just about doing a radio show and doing interviews. We are out on the streets. We are in the courtroom. It was a very harrowing time when we attended the inquest of Auntie Tanya Day. The Doing Time show was there, and we covered that inquest extensively. And we're hoping next year, when the findings are handed down, that we will be speaking with the daughters of Auntie Tanya Day. And of course, we had Mr. Walker who died as well, Joyce Clark as well. We always honour the anniversaries of the people that have died as well. And I'm sure that there are more anniversaries coming up of Aboriginal deaths in custody. So just to make that clear, that 3CR is not Murdoch. You know, we're here to look at real media and to actually look at real struggles and report on those. And we plan to carry on the legacy of Uncle Sam Watson. Aboriginal people do die younger, and Sam was only 67. And we're not going to make it a tragedy. We're going to make it a celebration of his life. And we will continue, the Doing Time show will continue to defend the lands, and we will continue to defend and build the movement to stop Aboriginal deaths in custody. Also, a thank you to Charandav Singh, who assisted us with getting in touch with Nicole, as we had to work hard to track down family members, at least one family member, to get permission for this audio to be played. And again, our condolences go out to the family, and our podcast will be available soon for people to listen in case listeners missed out. So, Sam, you have completed your journey home, and may you walk your lands in peace. And we're going to be going out with our theme song, Black Fella, White Fella, from the Rumpy Band. And stay tuned next Monday, the 16th December, which will be our last show. And then there will be summer programming, and we will be back on Survival Day to do a kick-ass show and get on with continuing to expose oppression and brutality. Thank you very much. Take care.
As long as you a true fella, as long as you a real fella.